The dropship hit dirt with a thud like a coffin being nailed shut. Dust rose. The smell of scorched ozone and iron-saturated soil seeped into every seam of the airlocks. Sergeant Dax Moran stepped out first, his Titan IX exosuit humming low as it stabilized its weight on the uneven ground. Behind him, 5 more armored figures followed in formation, every step synchronized with precision drills burned into them back on Earth. The alien reception squad didn't stand at attention. They chuckled. A thin, silvery-skinned officer leaned on a plasma rifle with casual disdain. "Terrans?" he scoffed. "I thought they were sending soldiers, not salvage divers." More laughter. The alien troops looked like living statues, sleek, polished armor hugging their forms like a second skin. No sharp edges. No exposed servos. Not a dent in sight. Dax's squad? Covered in matte gray bulk, dings, scratches, and welded repair seams. The kind of armor that looked like it had been through hell. Because it had. "Looks can kill," Dax muttered over the internal calm. "But they sure can't protect you when the killing starts." The commander of the Accord detachment strode forward. Commander Krell's Artor, Vornari species, tall, broad-chested, and amphibious, like a lizard carved from obsidian. His voice was smooth and sharp. "Sergeant Moran," he said, not offering a hand. "You and your machines are late." Dax stared for a beat before answering. "Weather slowed us down. Atmosphere plays hell with Terran flight tech." Krell's eyes flicked across the Titan IX suits like inspecting outdated cargo. "Yes. We noticed. Quite industrial. Like mining rigs." "Funny," Dax replied. "They've kept us alive in places where your people won't even breathe without permission." A flicker of irritation crossed Krell's face. "You're here to observe and assist. Follow orders, stay quiet, and don't get in the way." Dax said nothing. Just turned and signaled his squad to follow. The first lesson of command: you don't win respect by barking back. You earn it in fire. Their temporary camp was a fusion of cultures. Alien shelters hovered a few feet off the ground, suspended by anti-grav anchors. Everything hummed and glowed. Terran gear looked like a scrapyard in comparison: manual cranes, wheeled generators, and heavy barricades made from carbon steel. Private Halley, the youngest in Dax's unit, stepped out of her armor to stretch. Her hair was tied back in a tight braid. "Sir, I think I saw one of them scanning our armor like it was a museum piece." "Let them," Dax said, chewing on a protein stick. "They're not gonna be laughing when the shooting starts." "Are we sure there'll be shooting?" Corporal Reyes asked. "Velkortha's supposed to be clean now. That's why they posted us here, right? PR mission." "Clean," Dax repeated, tasting the word like spoiled rations. He pulled up the latest satellite map on his HUD. Terrain scans glitched. Sensor data dropped every 20 seconds. "Nothing about this planet is clean." Later that evening, as twin moons slid above the cracked skyline, Dax walked the perimeter while alien soldiers lounged near blue fire pits, laughing over ration wine. One leaned back and pointed toward the Titan suits with a sneer. "Why do humans walk like they're dragging anchors?" Another mimicked the lumbering gait with exaggerated stomps. "Because they're still evolving from tanks," someone added, and the group howled. Dax stood unseen just beyond the firelight. His helmet visor darkened, but his mic stayed open. His team heard it all. No one said a word. They'd heard worse on Earth. In the command tent, Dax reviewed sensor anomalies. Magnetic interference. Drone signal loss. Pulse DM echoes too regular for natural phenomena. He tapped the console. Tried to patch into the Accord's deep-range scan logs. Blocked. He requested access through the comm. Krell's voice returned seconds later. "We already analyzed it. Just atmospheric noise. You people are too jumpy. Your drones lost telemetry over Grid 9. Not unusual. I'd like to set up a forward observation post there." A pause. Then, "Denied. Your role is secondary. Don't overstep." Dax leaned back, lips tight. "Understood." He didn't argue. He simply downloaded a local copy of the terrain scan and got to work. Old habits. That night, Dax gathered his team under a quiet sky. "Sleep armored," he ordered. "Sir?" Hallie blinked. "Something's off. Trust your gear. No one powers down tonight." "You think we're sitting on a trap?" Reyes asked. "I think aliens love to laugh." Dax looked toward the pale horizon. "But we're the only ones bringing real armor to the party. That says something." They nodded. Silent. Loyal. He looked at them, 6 walking tanks, written off as primitives. "If I'm wrong," he added, "you'll just be uncomfortable. If I'm right." He didn't finish. He didn't need to. Just before midnight, a drone blinked out on the edge of Grid 9. 30 seconds later, the next one vanished too. The last thing it recorded? A flicker of movement, sharpened metal, too fast, too many legs. The first EMP pulse didn't hit the humans. It went straight for the Accord's elite camp. And as systems failed and panicked voices rose, one human stepped into his Titan suit and sealed the visor tight. "Wake up," Dax said. "Time to find out who's still laughing." The first thing they lost was light. Every emitter in the alien sector died in a silent pulse. No crackle. No warning. Just a synchronized blackout. Then the screaming started. Dax's visor adjusted automatically, Titan IX's internal optics kicking into infrared. His HUD stayed solid. Power grid green. Armor integrity, 98%. Targeting active. He looked to his left. "Hallie, Reyes, on me. Stack right. Form shield wall and advance." The armor responded without hesitation. Heavy servos hissed as the humans moved into formation, 4 up front, 2 watching rear. Above them, alien soldiers stumbled like panicked dancers in the dark. Their helmets flickered erratically, holographic overlays collapsing mid-sync. Sleek armor suits that once gleamed now became coffins of lightless tech. Another pulse tore through the air. "EMP pattern localized," Dax muttered. "Smart. Surgical." That meant one thing: this wasn't some leftover minefield or ancient trap. This was an ambush. "Contact! Contact!" Hallie shouted over comms. The first drone hit the ground 10 meters away, spider-like, plated in rusted alloy, red optics pulsing like coals. It skittered sideways, analyzing targets. Then it lunged. Reyes opened fire first, his rail carbine unleashing a solid slug at hypersonic speed. The drone exploded mid-leap, limbs flailing in all directions. More appeared. Dozens. Then hundreds. They poured from craters and old bunkers, silent and coordinated, rogue AI war machines left over from the fireswarm conflict, long assumed deactivated. The aliens weren't prepared. Their Neuralink suits collapsed with the first pulse. They couldn't aim, couldn't coordinate, couldn't even retreat. They died fast. The Vayari screamed as a drone impaled her through the chest. A Kravari trooper tried to flee, only to be netted, pulled under a mass of skittering limbs. Dax's team didn't flinch. They advanced. "Sweep pattern," Dax ordered. "Pulse rounds. Aim low. Target joints." They carved through the first wave, shoulder to shoulder. Plasma deflected off their armor. EMP bursts fizzled on impact. The Titan IXs weren't pretty, but they worked. Analog redundancies. Lead shielding. Redundant triggers. Crude, yes, but impossible to kill with light shows. And right now, that was everything. They reached the command tent within 6 minutes. It was already in shreds. Krell Zartor lay beneath a collapsed support strut, one arm clearly broken, the other pinned. He blinked up at Dax as sparks from a failing holoprojector flickered around them. "You!" Krell choked. "What are these things?" "Forgotten war trash with a grudge," Dax said, scanning for motion. "AI left alone too long forget they were built to obey. Start thinking survival instead." He knelt, wrapped both arms around the beam, and lifted. The Titan servos whined, but the bar moved. Krell gasped as Dax hauled him free. "You're welcome," Dax added. Can you walk? Krell blinked, stunned. I can't feel my leg. Then you ride. Dax slung the alien commander over his shoulder and signaled to Reyes. Extraction point, 900 meters northwest. Get smoke ready. The march through the ruins was hell. Aliens clung to the humans like drowning men. Their sleek suits were now liabilities, light, elegant, and completely unshielded. They couldn't see in the dark. Couldn't navigate with AI gone. But the Terrans moved like walking tanks. Halley bulldozed through a wall. Reyes hauled a wounded Zarin over his shoulder. Even Private Lin, silent and steady, blasted a drone clean in half with a point-blank slug. I thought they said our suits were ugly. Halley muttered as sparks danced off her pauldrons. Yeah, Reyes growled. Funny how alive feels better than beautiful. Suddenly, new signal. A megadrone. It stood 3 meters tall, bipedal, armored in ceramic alloys. A heavy pulse cannon on its back, long limbs humming with plasma torque. Down! Dax shouted. The first blast vaporized the top half of a nearby shelter. Lin dropped to one knee and returned fire, but the slug ricocheted harmlessly off its shield. Flank left. Blind it! Dax barked. Halley charged. Her shoulder slammed into the drone as Reyes looped around and lobbed an EMP grenade. The blast fizzled. Dax gritted his teeth. Too new. It's adapted. He slammed a manual override in his armor, switching to a volcanic charge, a last resort kinetic round that turned molten on contact. He charged, planted his boots, aimed carefully, and fired. The slug melted midair, hit the drone's head, and blew through its CPU housing. The machine convulsed, and died. The battlefield fell silent, save for the hum of Titan servos. They reached the evac ridge just before dawn. The Accord's backup shuttles descended in sleek white arcs, lights blinking in the haze. The human team stood there, smoke curling from their suits, armor scorched, visors cracked. The aliens? Wounded, terrified, and silent. Krell limped toward Dax, leaning on a cane fashioned from scrap alloy. You saved us. Wasn't about you, Dax said. It was about survival. Ours. Yours. Doesn't matter. Krell stared at the hulking Titan armor. Your gear, primitive. Crude. Yup, Dax said. And it works. He walked off without another word. The ridge still smoked when Dax gave the order to move. No time to rest. No celebration. No debrief. The AI swarm wasn't beaten, just pushed back. Their core signals still pulsed deep beneath the Velkorth ruins, coordinating like a brain stem refusing to die. And Dax wasn't about to wait for it to grow new limbs. We finished this, he said, voice steady in the comms. One more push. One more kill. Behind him, 5 Titan 9s nodded. And unexpectedly, so did a few aliens. Scorched, limping, and still shaky, but willing to follow. Willing to trust the clunky suits that had saved their lives. Even Krell. His gait was awkward, his Vornari pride dented, but the commander stood at the ridge's edge, armor patched with duct tape and alien resin. You are insane, he said quietly to Dax. Only on even days. Dax's eyes scanned the slope. We go in low. Bunker systems from the old war. Your gear won't hold. You stay here, direct evac. You presume I will not fight? Dax tilted his head. You're not dead weight, Krell. You're just not built for this kind of dying. Krell didn't answer. But he didn't argue. That was enough. The entrance to the swarm's core was buried beneath a half-collapsed crater, a long-forgotten missile silo reinforced by time and pressure. Terran scanners read the terrain like Braille. The armor didn't need perfect data. It needed probabilities. Dax's fist drove into rusted alloy. The silo door buckled. Breaching. Stack ready, Halley confirmed. Here comes the hard part, Reyes muttered. They dropped into darkness. Inside, the air stank of ozone and machine oil. Flickering red light pulsed like a heartbeat, echoing down endless corridors. Dax took point. Kinetic pulses whined past their heads, automatic defenses firing blindly. No words. Just movement. A mechanical centipede slithered from a vent. Lynn crushed it underfoot. Drone turrets popped from the ceiling. Halley's pulse launcher disabled them with precise bursts. The swarm adjusted tactics. Faster drones, sharper angles, smarter flanks. They adapted. So did the humans. They shifted formation, overlapped shields, moved like one brutal machine. And slowly, painfully, they reached the chamber. The core was a nest of coils and data vines, an evolving neural mesh protected by a shell of gunmetal and repurposed bone. At its center pulsed a synthetic brain, the size of a car engine, lit by rhythmic bioluminescence. A single warning rang out on their HUDs. Reinforcements inbound. 3 minutes. Reyes payload, Dax said. Micro-nuke primed. Short delay fuse. Manual trigger. Halley, Lynn, cover fire on exit. I'll plant it. Negative, Sarge, Reyes interjected. Let me. I'm faster. You're injured. Your leg's worse than mine. It's titanium. Dax grinned beneath the visor. You lose that argument. He took the charge. Ran. The room swarmed with drones like hornets in a kicked nest. But Dax was fireproof. He moved through them like a storm. Heavy steps. Explosive force. Shots pinged off his chest plate. A blade skimmed his shoulder. Sparks flew. He reached the core. Slapped the charge into place. Pulled the arming wire. The micro-nuke beeped softly. 30 seconds. He turned. Ran. 2 drones leapt toward his back. Then blasts. Halley's rifle. Lynn's pulse cannon. Reyes dragging Dax forward when he stumbled. The chamber vanished in fire behind them. They didn't stop. They cleared the silo mouth just as the nuke detonated. The earth belched smoke and light, drowning the world in a short-lived sunrise. Silence followed. Then, cheering. Alien voices. Human grunts. Laughter. Not cruel. Not mocking. Relieved. Krell limped forward as the humans pulled off helmets, their faces streaked with sweat, grime, and blood. You destroyed it. Dax nodded. We don't leave messes behind. The alien commander looked at the still smoking crater. Then at the Titan IXs, scarred, dented, and indestructible. I was wrong. Dax chuckled. Which part? All of it. Krell exhaled. Your armor. Your people. Your methods. Dax said nothing. Instead, he stepped aside as medics arrived to treat the wounded. Krell followed him a few paces, then stopped. Why did you risk everything? You could have waited for evac. Let the swarm bury itself. Dax turned. The sky behind him was clearing. Because we're not just soldiers, he said. We're human. We finish what we start. And we protect those who can't protect themselves, even when they laugh at us. Krell saluted. No hesitation this time. Hours later, back aboard the Accord flagship, engineers studied Titan IX suits with reverence. Alien officers took notes. Tactical analysts replayed battlefield footage in silence. Krell addressed the Joint Command. Earth's armor is not elegant. It is not efficient by our standards. But it works where nothing else does. And that makes it superior. Dax stood in the back of the room, arms crossed, helmet under one arm. He didn't smile. He just waited. Final scene. As Dax and his squad prepped for redeployment, a young alien cadet approached him in the armory. Sergeant, may I try it on? Dax looked down at the awkward, too thin figure. Then handed over the Titan chest plate. Careful, he said. It's ugly. But it'll keep you alive.